All of my messages inside of the Miracle Monday have been around shifting people's ways of thinking. As I repeatedly share with you in the podcast that in any form of transformation, you have to change how you think or feel, and it's going to change everything. And if you can be prompted to feel differently in a week and then walk around with that vantage point, it's supporting you for the entire week to set the foundation or the tone of who do you want to be and how do you want to show up.
Welcome to the InPowered Life Podcast, a space dedicated to spreading the message that you have the power within to create everything you seek.
So if you're ready to enroll in a new kind of higher learning, the kind that leads to true personal freedom, then hang here with us.
We're your hosts, Rudi and Riekstins, and this is the InPowered Life.
Welcome to the InPowered Life Podcast. My name is Rudi Riekstins. I am honored and privileged to have you here today. And today's conversation is going to be timely. And I'm recording this at the very end of 2025. And my hope and intention is that as you hear this episode today, you aren't just purely the observer, but you actually become the participant. You know, every single year as I close out a calendar year, I'm always doing an annual review. The same way if we were in a corporate arena, we would be doing a review of performance. And we do performance appraisals inside of organizations all the time. But how often do we do a performance appraisal in our life? Now, my wife and I have a habit of every week asking each other, how are we doing as a husband or how are we doing as a wife? So we can give each other feedback and say, honestly, you know what, this week you've been just incredible, really supportive. I appreciate that. Or, you know what, I kind of need a little bit of help from you and I didn't get a lot of support from you this week. And so it helps us have that tap-take feedback in our relationship. But again, I'm coming back to how rarely do we do that as it looks for an entire calendar year for ourselves. And so I do an exercise every single year. And I remember just this past week sitting down with Aniston and reflecting back on what had been my year and thinking like, oh my gosh, like this is all blending together. When we move forward in life, so often we move at such a fast pace that we miss all of the micro bits of information. And it is only in reviewing who you've been, what you've done, what you've gone through, what you've overcome, the successes, trials, tribulations, all of the things that you really have the opportunity to gain tremendous value in not only what has been your life experience, but also what you wanted to become. And so this week I went to Audacious. I remember sitting down with her and saying, all right, January, what happened in January? And like I was forgetting all these things. And the two of us went back and forth on her January and then my January. And we then went to February and we listed what were some of the key pivotal moments that happened through the course of our year, all the way through until December. And I'm going to challenge you to do the same thing today is grab a piece of paper or take out your phone, open up a notes section, and then break it down into the 12 months of the year. And I actually recommend you start, which is what I do, is I start from November of the year before all the way through to December. Because as you begin to close out a calendar year, you're already thinking and reflecting in on who you want to be the following year. So the changes starts to take fold. And I remember in November of last year saying to Aniston, oh, I want to dramatically change my business. I want to increase the revenue. I want to increase the reach. And I had set an audacious business goal. And we then obviously created the goal and I did what I do. I go into my mind, I created the meditations and I hold the feeling of what it will feel like to have that and walk it and be it. But what we so often discount is that when you make a massive, profound, audacious goal, that, well, you have to welcome the change that's going to come with it. And that's what today's episode is really about. It's about challenging you to go back and review the entire year that you've experienced and then realizing that some of the changes that came up, well, they were because you asked for change. And we so often forget that what we're experiencing in the change, in the uncertainty, in the unknown, well, that's because at one point in time we asked for it. And so for me in November, I set this massive goal for my business. And come January, we had a tremendous amount of changes that came up in our personal life and then in our professional lives, both for Aniston and I. And I remember feeling the stress and the anxiety around how much was shifting from a financial perspective. And it was interesting because I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we're losing so much revenue in the business. My goal was to increase the revenue in the business, and having that panic of like, well, what has to happen now? And then I just got very busy in February into the doing and taking action and moving forward and crossing things off my list. And I had so many dreams and aspirations that I've wanted to bring into my business for the longest time that I haven't done because I've been too busy doing other things. And what was so beautiful about 2025, that had I gotten to the end of the year and just moved into 2026 and welcomed the change of the new energy of the new year of what was happening, and I did not pause and reflect back month by month, I would have lost the unbelievable gift in the hindsight.
Hey, it's Aniston Riekstins here, and I want to ask you, have you ever wondered if there's more to your life and work than what you're doing right now? What if I told you that the universe is hiring and you were born to fill a role that will bring you true purpose and success? In my new #1 best-selling book, The Universe is Hiring, Discover the Role You Were Born to Fill, I'm going to show you exactly how to step into that role. This isn't just a book full of inspiration. It's a roadmap to help you start shifting into a more fulfilling life right now. You'll get clear on your unique purpose, learn how to align with your strengths, and take actionable steps towards the career and life that truly light you up. If you're ready to make a change and start living the life you were meant for, grab your copy today. Available anywhere you buy your books online or click the link in the show notes.
We are abundantly aware that in the moment, we don't have 20/20 vision. We don't have the ability to have the hindsight and to be able to look back and say, oh, well, that makes sense. That ties into everything. And so we have to manually do that in the future. When we get to where we're going, we need to manually be able to turn around and look back so we can reflect back on who we were and what we did. And when I did this exercise with Aniston, it was pretty remarkably eye-opening for me because I have joked with my community, I have joked with Aniston, and I've said like, gosh, 2025 was like an F year. Like I want to just close the books on that year and move on. And I don't want to think about it again because it was really one of those years that felt like a doozy, emotionally charging, very heavy, very difficult, very slow. And I'm just looking forward to the exciting change as numerology predicts for me. 2026 is going to be just an incredibly fun and expansive year. And I'm ready for a fun reprieve from what has been 2025. And in wanting to just very quickly get to December 31st and turn the page and forget about the year that I had, and going and looking month by month at the year, the gift that I found was in how divinely orchestrated 25 was. And even though 2025 felt like a difficult year and a year I would love to forget, it really was powerful. Because in November, when I declared this incredible goal for myself, for my life, for my business, for my impact, I never thought, well, when I make that goal, everything is going to have to change. And sometimes change is easy, sometimes change is fun, and sometimes change can be really hard. And the change that I experienced was uncertainty. It felt like everything was crumbling beneath me. And instead of it crumbling and falling away, it was crumbling so something new could be built. And when I reviewed my entire year and seeing it out on paper, I realized, oh my gosh, all the things that I've wanted to do for 5 years that I've been too busy doing because I've been coaching in corporate America. I've been speaking on so many stages. I've been traveling, jet setting. I mean, the year before last, I was on 4 continents. I spoke 43 times. It was incredibly busy for me as a coach and as a speaker, and then as somebody who has one-on-one clients where I go in to impact their businesses. And so there was very little time for me to do the passion projects, if I could refer to them as. And when all of a sudden everything started to shift and what felt like my business crumbling, what felt like my forward movement crumbling, what felt like all of the things that had been organically moving forward and working in my business stopped working, well, it forced me to start doing things differently. And that was when I started to launch my community. And I created a community where I was serving not just people inside of corporate America, but anyone could come in and get essentially $100,000 coaching program, but they could do it for as little as, $100 a month. And it has become such an incredible blessing in my life to every 2 weeks be able to log in, connect with these incredible people, give them what would otherwise be unattainable for them, but give it to them in a way that is affordable, but also actionable. And to be able to drop into this Facebook community every single day and to be able to touch them, message them, support them, get questions answered back and forth, it really has become a beautiful extension of my business that I never had time for in the past. And so when things fell away, that became just the next necessary step. And then I launched my newsletter. And the Miracle Monday is something that I have wanted to birth for at least, I want to say 4 years now. And I just never had the time and I never made it a priority. But now I had time. And so with that time, I started to launch my Miracle Monday newsletter. And now I'm reaching literally thousands of people every single week. And I'm getting so many beautiful messages from people where they actually turn around and say like, oh my gosh, I'm waiting till 7 a.m. on a Monday morning so that I can read your newsletter so that it helps me anchor who am I going to be this week? How am I going to show up? Because all of my messages inside of the Miracle Monday have been around shifting people's ways of thinking. As I repeatedly share with you on the podcast, that in any form of transformation, you have to change how you think or feel, and it's going to change everything. And if you could be prompted to feel differently in a week and then walk around with that vantage point, it's supporting you for the entire week to set the foundation or the tone of who do you want to be and how do you want to show up. And I started hosting webinars and I launched new programs, courses. Aniston and I in August and September and October, we launched retreats. We did these beautiful men's and women's retreats, things that we had wanted to do that we've done inside of organizations, meaning hosting these immersive transformational experiences, but where companies bring the people and we've wanted to create it and do it ourselves. All of these were necessary steps that were supporting us in growing our business. And when I got to the end of 2025 now, and I was ready to turn the page and say, screw that year, I was not thinking of all of the forward movement that I'd made inside of my business. And when Aniston and I went month by month, and we got to around June, July, I turned to her and I said, this was beautiful. Like 25 really was a beautiful, expansive year for me because I realized looking at it down on paper, I realized that I had set this incredibly profound, audacious goal in November of 2024. And in order for that foundation of what I wanted to build, which is more reach, more impact, and yes, more revenue to me, then the existing model I had, I was tapped out. There wasn't a whole lot more that I could do to be able to serve people other than exponentially increasing my rates, which wouldn't necessarily increase my impact. And so my goal was to increase my impact and my income. And so the model I had was flawed. And so in the divinity of all things beautiful, God made it fall away so that I could rebuild something that is going to be sustainable over an extended period of time, that is going to support me to creating tremendous impact. And over time, yes, is absolutely going to increase my ability to make more money because now I have avenues like these webinars, I have these courses, I have these programs, I have my one-on-one coaching, I have my speaking and my book that I'm working on. And then, yes, we've got retreats where we're creating our own empowered in-person events. And all of this, if you look at it, is an unbelievable vessel to be able to monetize. Aniston refers to wealth as you need to have a wealth bucket. And inside the wealth bucket will be many buckets. And if you think about having money and just having a certain level of income, that's falling into one bucket. But we need to have many buckets to have wealth because wealth is not just one revenue stream. And in the past, I really just had one or two buckets, and you cannot create wealth in one or two buckets. Whereas now, all of these different areas and avenues inside of my business, and I'm only using this to emphasize the point of doing the exercise, is that now I have about 9 different buckets where I can generate revenue. And so when I went into 2025 with the dream or the desire to create additional growth and revenue inside of my business, I wasn't prepared for everything to fall away. And then when everything did, I got into panic and I started working really hard, actioning and doing things to move myself and my business forward. And now that I'm looking at it at the end of the year, I kind of wish that I had just enjoyed the journey and not got caught up in the stress and the fear and the anxiety of the unknown. It has been one of my lessons in life is to really just trust in the divinity of everything. And this has been a beautiful reminder to me, and I hope it's a reminder to you that you're always guided, you're always protected, and everything is always perfect. And you may not like the way it looks and feels right now, but it is a necessary shift. It's the transition point to where you're going. And so when you review your year and you look at your year, well, your year really was the accumulation of the decisions that you have ultimately set, or the goals that you've set for yourself, or the desires and the dreams and the aspirations that your heart is yearning for. And then the rest of the world has to reflect that back to you in some way, shape, or form. And as that begins to reflect back to you, your job is to stay open, eager, and excited in that journey. And at the end of the year, when you turn around now and you break out the 12 months of 25, the 2 months before, and you look at it over a 14-month period of where you were going, what happened, you really get to see the many miracles that had come up. When Aniston and I did her year in review, we had finished literally the entire 14-month period from November all the way through to December of 2025. We were looking at it and we said, wow, what an incredible year. And then I said, Aniston, how on earth did we forget? How did we forget that in the middle of all of this, you launched a book and it became a best-selling book, a #1 best-selling book? I'm like, and we don't even have that in this list of all the different things that happened in all the months with all the miracles. I'm like, it just shows you that if you do not slow down, you forget sometimes some of the biggest changes that happen in your life. And if you don't take a moment to pause, reflect, give yourself the proverbial pat on the back, and then also take the lessons with you into the next year, then I think we're missing out on such an incredibly valuable and important part of what is the life experience. And so today's episode is short, it's sweet, and it is unbelievably powerful. If you were to take this right now and put it into action, I'm going to challenge you to pause for a moment, stop doing what it is that you're doing, and write out all of the things that happened over the course of your year. What were the lessons, the pains, the struggles, the wins? Where did you have successes? And then what were the goals that you had before you went into the year? And then start to see how they unfold. Because not only are you going to benefit from the wins, not only are you going to benefit from the lessons that you gained throughout the course of the year, but you're going to be able to apply those to 2026 and the version of who you want to be, and see how the puzzle pieces are beautifully and always, I remind you, divinely orchestrated. I love you so freaking much. Thank you so much for joining me for this incredibly powerful exercise. But it is an exercise that is only powerful if put into practice. And so there's your homework, is to take this information, put it into practice in some way, shape, or form. I do appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing 2026, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. And we would love your support in leaving us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to check the show notes for more information on how you can find us online and on Instagram. Now go create an amazing day for yourself, and we'll see you again soon.